Admiral Helena Chen stared at the alien delegation with a mixture of disbelief and barely concealed amusement. The representatives of the Galactic Council shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their various appendages twitching in what she had learned was their equivalent of nervous fidgeting. The lead delegate, a towering crystalline being called First Light Through Morning Frost, or Frost for short, thank goodness, cleared what passed for their throat. "We would like humanity to take charge of the United Galaxy's Department of Strategic Defense and Warfare." Helena leaned back in her chair, running a hand through her salt and pepper hair. "Let me get this straight. You want the species that you called, and I'm quoting here, barely evolved primates with delusions of grandeur just 50 years ago, to suddenly run your entire military operation. The situation has evolved," Frost said diplomatically. "Oh, this I've got to hear." Helena's grin would have made a shark proud. The third delegate, a gelatinous mass of neural tissue suspended in a hovering containment field that went by the name of Thought in Still Waters, rippled in what might have been embarrassment. "We may have been somewhat hasty in our initial assessment of human capabilities." "Somewhat hasty?" Helena couldn't help but laugh. "You tried to colonize Mars thinking we wouldn't notice. Your entire fleet got taken out by a bunch of college students with repurposed mining lasers, and what they swear were totally theoretical antimatter experiments." The second delegate, a more humanoid-looking being named KRX, whose species had evolved from something akin to Earth's octopi, had all four of his arms crossed defensively. "That incident was unfortunate, but it demonstrated precisely why we need your expertise. Our expertise in getting our asses handed to us by teenagers with too much caffeine and access to university labs." Helena was enjoying this far too much. "Your species' unique approach to warfare," Frost corrected. "You see, we've analyzed every major conflict in recorded galactic history. Do you know what we found?" Helena raised an eyebrow. "That we're completely insane? That you're the only species that consistently wins wars you should, by all statistical probability, lose." Frost's crystalline structure shifted to a deep blue, indicating seriousness. "And more importantly, you're the only species that routinely holds back from total victory when you could achieve it." That got Helena's attention. She straightened in her chair, her amusement fading into something more contemplative. "Explain." Thought in Still Waters pulsed with different colors as it spoke. "Take the Mars incident. Your students could have easily destroyed our entire fleet. The antimatter weapons they developed had that capability. Instead, they disabled our engines, hacked our communication systems to play something called Never Gonna Give You Up on repeat, and sent us home with a message that read, 'Get Gud Scrubs.' We still don't understand what that means," KRX admitted. Helena tried not to smile. She really did. "It's a cultural reference. The point," Frost continued, "is that humanity consistently demonstrates two traits that make you uniquely qualified for this position. First, you have an uncanny ability to improvise solutions that nobody else would even consider. Second, you show remarkable restraint in victory." "That's because we're not actually bloodthirsty warriors," Helena explained. "We're just really, really good at solving problems, and sometimes those problems happen to be military in nature." "Precisely." KRX's excitement caused his skin to shift through several shades of purple. "Your species treats warfare as a puzzle to be solved rather than a path to glory. You view it as a regrettable necessity rather than a desired outcome. This is exactly what the United Galaxies needs." Helena stood up and walked to the window of her office, looking out at the Earth spinning below the space station. "You realize this is insane, right? You're asking the youngest spacefaring race in the galaxy to take charge of defending all of you." "No," Frost corrected. "We're asking the species that turned their first space race into a decades-long scientific competition instead of a nuclear war to teach us a better way to handle conflicts." That made Helena pause. She turned back to face the delegation. "What exactly are you afraid of?" The delegates exchanged glances before Thought in Still Waters spoke. "The swarm is returning." Helena felt her blood run cold. Everyone knew about the swarm, a biomechanical hive mind that had nearly wiped out galactic civilization 50,000 years ago. "I thought they were contained in the Carina Arm." "They were," KRX said grimly. "But our containment methods are failing. Traditional military approaches aren't working. We need creative solutions." "You need humans," Helena translated. "We need humans," Frost confirmed. "Your species has a saying that we find particularly relevant. If brute force isn't working, you're not using enough of it. But you also have another saying. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Somehow you managed to embody both philosophies simultaneously. Helena walked back to her desk and sat down heavily. You realize that if we accept this position, we're going to do things very differently than you're used to? We're counting on it, KRX said. I mean, our first suggestion is probably going to be to try communicating with the swarm. The delegates stared at her in horror. Communicate with the swarm? Thought in still waters pulsed rapidly in distress. Sure, Helena shrugged. Has anyone ever tried? I mean really tried, not just shouted surrender or die at them? They're a mindless consuming force, KRX protested. They're a highly organized society capable of faster-than-light travel and coordinated military actions across multiple star systems, Helena countered. That doesn't happen by accident. There's intelligence there. And if there's intelligence, there's the possibility of dialogue. And if dialogue fails? Frost asked. Helena's smile turned predatory. Then we get creative. I know some people at DARPA who have been dying to test some theories about weaponized quantum entanglement. And there's this group of grad students at MIT who have some fascinating ideas about using modified von Neumann probes as viral delivery systems for digital consciousness transfer. The delegates looked at each other again, this time with something approaching hope. Very well, Frost said. Will you accept the position? Helena leaned forward. On one condition. We do this our way. No interference, no second-guessing our methods, no matter how strange they might seem to you. Agreed, the delegates said in unison. Then congratulations, Helena grinned. You just put the crazy apes in charge of the galaxy's biggest military force. This should be fun. 6 months later, Helena stood in the newly constructed Strategic Command Center aboard the United Galaxy's flagship, Innovative Solution, watching as hundreds of human operators coordinated with alien counterparts across multiple star systems. The room hummed with activity, displays showing everything from traditional battle maps to what appeared to be a massive multiplayer video game interface. Admiral, her XO, Commander James Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. You're going to want to see this. Helena took the tablet and read the report, her eyebrows climbing steadily higher. They actually did it? The communications team actually established contact with a swarm node? Yes, ma'am. Turns out the swarm isn't so much mindless as, well, extremely autistic, for lack of a better term. They're not destroying worlds out of malice. They're trying to optimize them according to their own internal logic. Dr. Park's team managed to establish a basic dialogue using mathematical principles and resource management algorithms. Helena shook her head in amazement. So all this time we weren't facing an unstoppable enemy. We were dealing with a civilization that literally couldn't comprehend why we didn't want our planets reorganized at the atomic level, Rodriguez finished. The team is already working on developing a shared framework for communication and mutual understanding. And the backup plan? Rodriguez grinned. Those MIT kids, they finished their prototype. If diplomacy fails, we can theoretically reprogram the entire swarm consciousness to experience what they're calling enforced empathy. Though personally, I think teaching a hive mind to feel emotions might be more dangerous than letting them reorganize a few planets. Helena laughed. Keep both options on the table. What's the status of Project Minecraft? The terraform-as-you-go defense system? Initial tests are promising. Turns out when you give a bunch of human gamers access to real-time matter manipulation technology and tell them to build cool shit that stops the bad guys, they get remarkably creative. We've got everything from weaponized black holes disguised as space stations to what I'm pretty sure is a working replica of the Death Star, though the engineering team insists on calling it a stellar energy redistribution platform. Helena walked to the main viewing window, watching as a group of ships ran practice maneuvers. The fleet was an odd mix of traditional military vessels and what could only be described as fever dreams made real, the result of letting human engineers loose with alien technology and telling them to think outside the box. Any word from the Council? She asked. They're adjusting, Rodriguez said diplomatically. The concept of solving an apocalyptic threat through a combination of diplomatic outreach and weaponized memes is taking some getting used to, but they can't argue with the results. And the swarm? The diplomatic team has established regular communication with 3 major nodes. They've agreed to a temporary cessation of expansion activities while we work on establishing mutual understanding. Also, apparently they're fascinated by cat videos. Dr. Park's team introduced them to the concept as part of their cultural exchange program, and now the swarm is requesting access to our entire collection of pet-related media. Helena pinched the bridge of her nose. Are you telling me we might end up averting an intergalactic war because the unstoppable hive mind death swarm fell in love with cat videos? Yes, ma'am. Though the dogs versus cats debate is apparently causing quite a stir in their collective consciousness. We may need to moderate their access to social media. Of course we do. Helena looked around the command center, watching humans and aliens working together, solving problems in ways neither species would have considered on their own. You know what the really funny part is? What's that, ma'am? We're actually pretty terrible at warfare, by most military standards. We break all the traditional rules, our strategies make no logical sense, and half our solutions sound like bad science fiction plots. But they work, Rodriguez pointed out. They work because we don't think like warriors, Helena said. We think like problem solvers who occasionally have to fight. Every other species in the galaxy treats war as an end in itself, a path to glory or power or whatever. We treat it like a really annoying group project that we have to finish so we can go back to doing more interesting things. Like watching cat videos with reformed galaxy-destroying swarm intelligences? Exactly. Helena smiled as a new alert appeared on the main screen. Another swarm node requesting diplomatic contact. You know what the best part is? In 50 years, the galaxy's going to look back at this moment and say, obviously humans were the right choice for this job. And not a single one of them will remember that they thought we were crazy primitive apes just a few years ago. To be fair, ma'am, we are crazy primitive apes. We're just crazy primitive apes who are really good at thinking our way around problems instead of through them. Damn right we are. Helena straightened her uniform. Now, let's go see if we can't teach a hive mind the concept of empathy through the power of viral videos and cooperative gaming. God, I love this job. Yes, ma'am. Though maybe we should wait to introduce them to Twitter. One existential crisis at a time. Agreed. The galaxy's probably not ready for that level of human chaos just yet. As Helena walked through her command center, watching humans apply their unique brand of creative problem-solving to galactic defense, she couldn't help but smile. They might not be the warriors the Council initially wanted, but they were exactly what the galaxy needed. A species that saw war not as a goal, but as a problem to be solved in the cleverest, most efficient, and occasionally most ridiculous way possible. And if that meant occasionally having to explain to a galactic hive mind why cats knock things off tables for no apparent reason, well, that was still better than actual fighting any day of the week. 3 months after establishing initial contact with the swarm, Helena found herself in what had to be the most surreal diplomatic meeting of her career. The holographic chamber aboard the innovative solution had been modified to accommodate both the physical delegates from the United Galaxies and the digital consciousness of Swarm Node Beta 7, which manifested as a constantly shifting cloud of metallic particles. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Helena said, maintaining her professional composure despite the absurdity of the situation. You want to establish a joint entertainment network with humanity? The swarm's response came as a series of mathematical equations that the translation matrix converted into standard galactic. Your species' concept of recreational content creation is fascinating. We have analyzed over 1 million YouTube videos and find the emergent patterns of cultural evolution highly efficient for information transfer. KRX, who had become something of a regular at these meetings, had all 4 hands pressed against his temples. They want to make videos. The unstoppable force that nearly destroyed galactic civilization wants to become content creators. Not just content creators, the swarm clarified. We wish to understand the concept of viral marketing and meme evolution. The way your species transmits ideas through modified image macros and short-form video content represents a more efficient information distribution system than our current methods. Helena shot a look at Dr. Sarah Park, who headed the cultural exchange program. The xenoanthropologist was trying very hard not to laugh. We may have created a monster, Dr. Park whispered. They've discovered TikTok. Emperor preserve us, Karex muttered. Helena cleared her throat. While we're certainly open to cultural exchange initiatives, we have some concerns about content moderation and... We have already developed 7 million potential dance challenges, the swarm interrupted. And we have questions about the optimal length for what you call reaction videos. Our initial algorithms suggest... Perhaps, Helena cut in firmly. We should start with something simpler. Dr. Park's team has developed a controlled platform for cultural exchange that... Is it true that your species will expend significant resources to create elaborate practical jokes, solely for the purpose of generating surprised reactions from others? The swarm's form rippled with what Helena had learned to recognize as excitement. "Oh no," Commander Rodriguez whispered from his position by the door. "We find this concept fascinating," the swarm continued. "The deliberate creation of unexpected situations for entertainment value represents a form of cognitive enhancement through controlled chaos that we had not previously considered." Frost, who had been uncharacteristically quiet until now, shifted to a color that indicated deep concern. "Admiral Chen, are you certain it's wise to expose the swarm to human entertainment concepts? Their primary directive is still optimization and adaptation. If they begin applying human chaos theory to—" "Too late," Dr. Park interrupted, holding up her tablet. "They've just uploaded their first YouTube video. Oh my God." Helena looked at the screen and felt a headache coming on. The video, titled Epic Planetary Reorganization Prank, Gone Wrong, Gone Quantum, already had 3 million views. "The like-to-dislike ratio is actually pretty good," Rodriguez offered helpfully. "This is fine," Helena said, more to herself than anyone else. "This is totally fine. We've just taught a galaxy-spanning hive mind about clickbait. Everything is fine." The swarm rippled again. "We have also begun experimenting with what you call speed running. Our latest planetary optimization protocols are now 27% more efficient thanks to techniques learned from watching Minecraft tutorials." KRX looked like he wanted to melt into his chair. "We asked humans to teach them warfare, and instead they've turned them into social media influencers." "To be fair," Dr. Park said, "this is probably better than the alternative. They're channeling their optimization drives into content creation instead of planetary reconstruction. And their understanding of complex social dynamics has improved dramatically since they started moderating their own Discord server." Helena held up a hand. "I'm sorry, they're what?" "Oh yes," the swarm chimed in. "We have established a community server for discussing what you call meme templates and wholesome content. Would you like an invitation? We also host weekly game nights." Frost's crystalline structure made a sound that might have been a sigh. "The Council is not going to believe this." "Actually," Helena said slowly, an idea forming. "This might be exactly what we need. Think about it. What's the best way to prevent future conflicts?" "Understanding," Dr. Park suggested. "Community," Rodriguez offered. "Mutual creative expression through shared digital platforms," Helena said firmly. "The swarm isn't a threat anymore because they're too busy trying to go viral on TikTok. They're learning empathy through community management and content creation. It's actually kind of brilliant. We have also begun development on what your species calls Netflix original content," the swarm added. "Our first series, Extreme Makeover Planet Edition, begins production next month." Helena looked around the room at the assembled delegates, the crystalline diplomat, the octopoid strategist, the digital hive mind turned content creator, and her human team trying desperately to maintain professional expressions. "Well," she said finally, "I guess this is how humanity saves the galaxy. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through cat videos and social media algorithms." "And memes," the swarm added helpfully. "We have developed over 10,000 variations of what you call Big Chungus." "Emperor, give me strength," Karex muttered. "Look on the bright side," Helena offered. "At least they haven't discovered Reddit yet." The room fell silent. "About that," Dr. Park said carefully, "you might want to check RR Swarm Thoughts. It's trending." Helena decided then and there that some battles weren't worth fighting. If the price of galactic peace was dealing with a hive mind that had learned to shitpost, well, that was still better than actual war. Besides, their memes were actually pretty good. 1 year into humanity's stewardship of galactic defense, Admiral Helena Chen found herself explaining to the United Galaxies Security Council why their latest military exercise had turned into what human observers were calling the galaxy's biggest LAN party. The council chamber, a vast amphitheater designed to accommodate representatives from over 10,000 species, was unusually full. News of the event had spread quickly, especially after several swarm nodes had started live streaming it with commentary. "Let me be perfectly clear," Helena said, standing at the central podium. "The exercise achieved all its strategic objectives. The fact that it did so through what appeared to be a massive multiplayer gaming session is incidental." First Light Through Morning Frost, who had been promoted to council chairman, shifted to a color that indicated both amusement and concern. "Admiral, you turned our annual readiness assessment into something called a raid boss fight." "With remarkable success," Helena pointed out. "Fleet coordination improved by 300%, and we've never seen better cooperation between different species ships. Because they were all trying to achieve something called a world-first clear, KRX exclaimed, his tentacles waving in agitation. The Hive Queen of the Morgath Collective was streaming the whole thing on Twitch. Which, Commander Rodriguez interjected from his position beside Helena, resulted in the highest level of public engagement with military preparedness exercises in galactic history. The merchandising rights alone have funded our next 3 years of research and development. Helena nodded. Furthermore, the gamification of military exercises has led to unprecedented innovations in tactical thinking. When we removed the traditional military hierarchy and let ships organize into what humans call guilds, we saw immediate improvements in initiative and creative problem-solving. A holographic representation of Swarm Node Beta 7 materialized above its designated platform. Our analysis confirms this assessment. Also, our stream of the exercise broke all previous viewership records. The clip of the Morgath Queen shouting Leroy Jenkins before leading the charge against the simulated threat has been viewed over 12 billion times. That's not the point, Karex protested. This isn't how military organizations are supposed to operate. Isn't it, though? Helena asked quietly. The chamber fell silent. Look at our results. In 1 year, we've turned the most feared military force in the galaxy into a peacekeeping organization that solves most of its problems through what amounts to glorified game nights. We've got former enemies cooperating to achieve high scores. The Swarm is more interested in their subscriber count than planetary reconstruction. Tell me how this isn't a complete success. Thought in Stillwater's pulsed thoughtfully. She has a point. Conflict resolution through competitive gaming has reduced actual military engagements by 94%. The number of diplomatic incidents has dropped to historic lows, largely because potential adversaries are too busy trying to beat each other's speedrun records. And the defense readiness scores? Helena added. Higher than they've ever been. Turns out when you make military exercises feel like a multiplayer game, people actually want to participate. They practice more. They form communities. They share strategies. They make memes, Rodriguez added helpfully. Yes, thank you, Commander. Helena shot him a look. The point is, we're achieving every objective the Council set for us. We're just doing it in a way that's more engaging. Speaking of engagement, Swarm Node Beta 7 interjected. Our new YouTube series, Top 10 Epic Fleet Battles, Gone Wrong, Gone Quantum, has reached 1 million subscribers. And our collaboration with the Morgath Queen on proper raid preparation techniques has been very well received. Frost's crystalline structure shifted through several colors before settling on one that indicated resignation. I suppose we can't argue with the results. But Admiral, surely you must see how this appears to more traditional military minds. Helena smiled. You mean how it appears that we've turned galactic defense into a massive gaming community? That instead of drilling for war, we're basically running the galaxy's biggest esports league? That our most decorated fleet commander is also a famous streamer? Exactly. Good. Helena's smile widened. Because that's exactly what we wanted everyone to think. While everyone's been focused on the gaming aspect, they've completely missed what we're actually doing. The chamber grew quiet again. What do you mean? Karex asked carefully. Every one of those games is a sophisticated tactical simulation. Every guild is actually a rapid response unit that can deploy at a moment's notice. That ranking system everyone's so obsessed with. It's actually a readiness assessment. We've gamified warfare so successfully that potential enemies don't even realize they're watching our military exercises. And the streaming? Thought in Stillwaters asked. Perfect cover for our intelligence gathering. Nobody questions why a popular streamer has detailed information about fleet movements or defensive capabilities. They just assume they're really into the game. The council chamber erupted in murmurs of amazement and concern. But the memes, Karex started, are an excellent way to distribute tactical updates without anyone realizing it. Rodriguez finished. You'd be amazed what you can hide in a seemingly random image macro that gets shared 1 billion times. Frost's color shifted to deep blue, the equivalent of stunned silence. So you see, Helena concluded, everything is proceeding exactly as planned. We've created a defense force that nobody takes seriously as a military power, which makes us infinitely more effective as one. Our enemies literally pay us to watch our training exercises. And the best part? Everyone's having fun doing it. Frost paused. I don't know whether to be impressed or terrified. That's the appropriate response to most human innovations, Rodriguez said cheerfully. Now, Helena said, pulling up a holographic display. About our next initiative. We're calling it Space Force Battle Royale. The council collectively groaned. Trust me, Helena grinned. You're going to love this one. And more importantly, so will everyone else. Because the best way to prevent a war isn't to be prepared to fight one. It's to make everyone too busy having fun to start one in the first place. Also, Swarm Node Beta 7 added, we've just hit trending on space Twitter with hashtag Galactic Gaming. The engagement metrics are through the roof. Helena looked out at the council, at the mix of resignation and amazement on their various faces, or equivalent sensory organs, and felt a deep satisfaction. This was humanity's real superpower. Not the ability to wage war, but the ability to turn anything, even war itself, into something that brought people together instead of driving them apart. And if they had to disguise their military genius under a layer of memes and gaming streams to do it, well, that was just part of the fun. Now, she said, who's ready to hear about our plans for the Galactic Defense Force annual charity stream? The groans from the council were music to her ears. The observation deck of the innovative solution offered an unparalleled view of what the media had dubbed the greatest show in the galaxy. Helena stood at the window, watching as thousands of ships from dozens of species performed intricate maneuvers that, to the untrained eye, looked more like a choreographed dance than a military exercise. Final viewing figures are in, Commander Rodriguez reported, joining her at the window. 27 trillion live viewers across all platforms. The Swarm's commentary stream alone broke every existing record for concurrent viewership. And the actual exercise metrics? Even better than the entertainment numbers. Rodriguez handed her a tablet. Response times are up 400% from pre-gamification levels. Cross-species coordination has reached 98% efficiency. And the new tactical innovations, well, you should see what the Morgath Swarm Alliance came up with during their last raid progression. Helena scrolled through the data, her expression thoughtful. They've basically invented a new form of quantum warfare while trying to improve their speedrun times, haven't they? Yes, ma'am. Their new technique for using entangled particles to coordinate fleet movements is, well, it's revolutionary. And they came up with it because they wanted to beat the Centaurian League's record for fastest completion of the Gamma scenario. Sometimes I wonder if we've created a monster, Helena mused, watching as a swarm node executed a perfect barrel roll while streaming to its millions of followers. Did you see their latest video series? Top 10 quantum entanglement tricks the Admiralty doesn't want you to know? Rodriguez grinned. It's actually quite informative, once you get past the clickbait title. Before Helena could respond, Dr. Park burst onto the observation deck, her usual composed demeanor notably ruffled. Admiral, we have a situation. What kind of situation? Helena turned from the window, recognizing the particular tone that meant something uniquely human had caused another interstellar incident. The Swarm. They've discovered Earth's historical archives. Specifically, they've found something called EVE Online. Helena felt a headache coming on. Oh no. Oh yes, Dr. Park confirmed. They're fascinated by the concept of space economics and corporate warfare. They've already begun implementing similar systems in their own structure. 3 swarm nodes have declared themselves corporations and are engaging in what they call legitimate business practices. You mean they're scamming each other, Rodriguez translated. They prefer the term aggressive market manipulation, Dr. Park said. But yes, we've also had reports of them studying something called Star Citizen and asking very detailed questions about player-driven economies and emergent gameplay. Helena sat down heavily in her command chair. So we've taught a hyper-advanced hive mind about MMO economics and corporate espionage. Wonderful. What's next? Are they going to start running their own virtual stock market? Dr. Park winced. About that. They've already launched something called the Galactic Meme Exchange. You can trade shares in popular meme formats and viral content. It's actually quite sophisticated. Of course they have. Helena pinched the bridge of her nose. And let me guess, it's already more stable than most planetary economies? The Galactic Financial Authority is asking for consulting rights, Rodriguez confirmed. Apparently, the Swarm's implementation of blockchain technology for meme trading is more secure than any existing financial system. So, just to be clear, Helena said slowly, we've not only turned the galaxy's most feared military force into content creators and gamers, but now they're also becoming economic innovators? Through memes? And esports betting, Dr. Park added. The odds calculations on their betting platform are apparently revolutionary. Several major universities have requested access to study their algorithms. Helena looked back out at the swirling dance of ships, now seeing it in a new light. "You know what the really interesting part is?" Rodriguez said, following her gaze. "Nobody's tried to start a war since we implemented these changes. They're too busy trying to manipulate the meme market and improve their stream rankings. The swarm nodes that declared themselves corporations are already talking about a merger," Dr. Park reported. "They're calling it a strategic alliance for content optimization and market dominance. Their promotional video has gone viral." "What have we done?" Helena wondered aloud, though she couldn't quite hide her smile. "We've revolutionized galactic society," Rodriguez answered. "Just not in any way anyone could have predicted." "Admiral," a junior officer called from the communications station. "The Swarm Corporate Alliance is requesting a meeting. They want to discuss something called esports franchise opportunities and cross-platform synergy optimization." Helena laughed. She couldn't help it. "Tell them I'll be happy to meet, but only if they stream it. Might as well give the galaxy what it wants." "They're already setting up the stream," the officer reported. "Current pre-registration numbers are in the billions. They're calling it the future of galactic business, not clickbait, gone corporate." "Well then," Helena straightened her uniform. "Let's not keep our viewers waiting. Commander, Dr. Park, shall we go make some more history?" As they headed to the meeting room, Helena couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come. They'd been asked to lead galactic defense, and instead they'd created something entirely new. A fusion of military precision, entertainment culture, and economic innovation that had transformed the very nature of interstellar society. And somewhere out there, a swarm node was probably already making a meme about it. Admiral Helena Chen was reviewing quarterly performance metrics when the alert came through. At first, she thought it was another viral marketing campaign from the Swarm's business division. They'd gotten quite creative with their promotional strategies lately. But the urgency code made her pause. "Commander Rodriguez," she called, not looking up from her screen. "Are you seeing this?" "Yes, ma'am." Rodriguez was already pulling up additional data streams. "It appears we have an actual military situation. Not a drill, not a stream event, not a promotional campaign." "How sure are we about that?" Helena asked, remembering the incident last month when a swarm marketing stunt had been mistaken for an invasion fleet. "The signals are coming from the outer rim. Something's disrupting our network infrastructure out there. Several streaming nodes have gone dark, and we're seeing unusual patterns in the meme exchange market." Dr. Park burst into the command center, her tablet displaying a cascade of alerts. "We've got confirmation. It's the Preservers." The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the Preservers, a reclusive species that had rejected all forms of digital technology, viewing it as corruption of the natural order. They'd been quiet for centuries, but their militant anti-technology stance was well documented. "What are they doing?" Helena demanded. "They're using some kind of analog interference technology," Dr. Park explained. "It's creating dead zones in our network. Several major content creation hubs have been affected, and the Galactic Meme Exchange is showing signs of instability." "The Swarm Corporate Alliance is already responding," Rodriguez added. "They're calling it an unprecedented attack on free market meme economics, and a violation of content creator rights. Their emergency broadcast has reached over 50 trillion viewers." Helena stood up, her mind racing. This was exactly the kind of situation their new system hadn't been tested against. An enemy that attacked not through conventional warfare, but by targeting the very infrastructure of their transformed society. "Get me a direct line to Swarm Node Beta 7, she ordered. "And someone wake up the team at MIT. We're going to need their quantum memetics expertise for this one." The response was immediate. Holographic displays sprang to life around her, showing real-time data from across the affected sectors. The Swarm's business division had already mobilized their emergency content delivery protocols, while the Morgath Queen was rallying her followers for what she called a defense of our digital rights. "The Preservers have issued a statement," Dr. Park reported. "They're demanding we cease this corruption of proper military order and return to traditional warfare protocols. They're calling our system a degradation of proper conflict resolution." Helena couldn't help but laugh. "They really don't get it, do they? Traditional warfare is exactly what we've been working to obsolete." "Ma'am," Rodriguez interrupted, "you need to see this. The swarm nodes. They're implementing something new, something they've been developing in secret." The main display showed a spreading pattern of what looked like digital fire, burning away the dead zones created by the Preservers' technology. But it wasn't just clearing the interference, it was establishing new pathways. New connections. Is that what I think it is? Helena asked, leaning forward. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Park's voice held a note of awe. They've weaponized viral marketing. They're using mimetic algorithms to create self-propagating network protocols that can operate even in compromised space. It's beautiful. The preservers are trying to counter it, Rodriguez reported. But they don't understand what they're fighting against. You can't stop a meme with analog technology. The more they try to suppress it, the faster it spreads. Helena watched as the pattern spread across the star map, restoration following in its wake. The swarm's innovation was more than just a defensive measure. It was a fundamental evolution in information warfare. They've turned our entire defense doctrine into a self-replicating idea, she realized. Every attempt to stop it just makes it stronger, more adaptable. It's not just protecting our networks, it's improving them. Admiral, a communications officer called out. We're getting reports from across the affected sectors. The preservers' ships. They're being invited to join something called the galaxy's biggest comeback stream. The swarm is turning the entire counter-offensive into a live event, complete with commentary and donation goals, Rodriguez added, unable to hide his grin. They're calling it Operation Get These Guys Some Content. The fundraising numbers are already astronomical. Helena shook her head in amazement. So instead of fighting them, the swarm is trying to convert them into content creators, Dr. Park confirmed. They're offering streaming contracts, partnership deals, and something called exclusive analog aesthetic branding opportunities. Several preserver ships have already accepted. The power of weaponized social media marketing, Helena mused. Who needs warships when you have influencer deals and viral content strategies? Ma'am, Rodriguez said, the MIT team just came online. They're saying the swarm's new protocols aren't just clearing the interference. They're creating what they're calling a quantum meme network. Apparently, it's some kind of breakthrough in information theory. Of course it is. Helena sat back down, watching as more and more preserver ships switched sides, drawn in by the irresistible pull of content creation and streaming fame. We asked them to help us defend the galaxy, and they turned warfare into the ultimate viral marketing campaign. The preservers' leadership is requesting a meeting, Dr. Park reported. They're specifically asking about something called retro tech influencer opportunities and authentic analog content creation. Helena laughed. Set it up, but make sure we stream it. At this point, I think the galaxy would be disappointed if we didn't. As she prepared for the meeting, Helena couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come. They'd taken humanity's seemingly chaotic approach to problem-solving and turned it into something that could convert even the most hardened technophobes into content creators. It wasn't just a defense strategy anymore. It was a new way of thinking that spread itself. You know what the really clever part is? Rodriguez said as they headed to the conference room. The preservers probably think they can use this system to promote their anti-technology message. Little do they know. Helena smiled. That's exactly what we want them to do. Because the best way to defeat an idea isn't to fight it. It's to give it a streaming channel and let it evolve into something new. Speaking of evolution, Dr. Park added, checking her tablet. The Swarm's marketing division just filed a patent for something they're calling quantum mimetic cryptocurrency. They say it's the next big thing in galactic finance. Helena pinched the bridge of her nose. One crisis at a time, please. Let's finish converting our latest enemies into content creators before we revolutionize the economy again. But as she watched the viewer counts climb and the meme exchange stabilize, she knew it was already too late. The transformation they'd started couldn't be stopped. It could only be channeled. And somehow that was working better than anyone could have predicted. To be continued.